Hey guys, this is Caleb from Common Motor, and today I'm going to be showing you around my personal CL360 Scrambler. So my bike is a 1975 CL360 K1, I believe. I bought it from a guy in Austin, Texas about 3 years ago, and I've done a lot of stuff to it. So starting from front to back, here's everything I've fixed on my 360. We've replaced the headlight bucket because the old one was not working well. I've replaced the gauges 2 times because the second gauges I bought were A-swell gauges and it did not work well. I've also replaced the handlebars. We've replaced the bushings in our triple tree, replaced both switches. I replaced the grips. Also all new mirror mounts and lever mounts because the original ones were broken when I bought the bike. We've also rebuilt the engine a few times. I've rebuilt the carbs, but I've only ever replaced the seals. I've never had to replace any jetting. We've replaced the filters because the old ones were getting pretty worn out after 45 years. We've replaced the shocks and the internal springs. I've also replaced the fork seals because they were leaking. We've rebuilt both brakes and put in new wheel bearings in the bike. I have swapped out the tires recently for these awesome knobby tires. And lastly, I've replaced a lot of the electrical components. One of the main upgrades I did was put in our Gemini condenser kit. I was blowing a lot of condensers only on one side, so that's helped me only have to switch out the condenser one at a time. If you haven't seen our Gemini condensers, you should check them out. They're really cool. 360. This says CL360 from the 70s.
I had a Sunday.
So I wanted to walk through a few of the things that I've actually left stock on my bike that a lot of people haven't. So 2 of the things I've left stock is I still run the stock air boxes on my 360, as well as I'm running just plain old points in the ignition system. I bought this set of points like 3 years ago, and I've ran them for like 5,000 miles, and they're still running very strong. I don't really see a need to upgrade them at the moment. As far as the air boxes go, I just recently put these back on. My back fender, as you can tell, is a little bit different than the stock one, and I ride a lot in the rain living down here in Houston, and it sprays a lot of water onto my pods. The air boxes are a little bit better bet for rain and riding in a lot of rain, so that's why I'm running those on the bike. Also gives me an opportunity to put these back on. Now to get to some of the stuff I've changed on the bike that's not factory, I've changed a lot of the wiring. Wish I hadn't for the bullets. I unfortunately cut all the bullet connectors out of my harness and soldered the connections. Not a great idea because it makes it really hard to work on the motorcycle. One day I thought that would be a good idea and I did it. It didn't work out that well. I've changed the gauges because my old ones broke. I've changed out the factory switch boxes from some of our Common Motor ones because you can no longer buy the built-in lever perch ones, so I have the separated lever perches with separated switch boxes. My left switch box, like I said, is actually from like a Kawasaki that I found just in the shop somewhere. So I'm also running our Scrambler mufflers. When I got the bike, it had those like sausage mufflers, as they call them, that have no baffles in them. I didn't get the original mufflers with the motorcycle, so I wrapped my exhaust pipes because honestly I thought it looks cool, and I just recently put on our Scrambler Common Motor mufflers. You know those stainless steel kitchen scrubbing pads? To quiet up the exhaust, I put 1 scrubby in each exhaust muffler. I tested out a bunch of scrubby ratios in the past, and putting 2 scrubbies in each, half a scrubby. The golden scrubby ratio is 1 scrubby per Scrambler exhaust if you're buying our Scrambler mufflers. I have our heavy duty shocks and our Icon upgraded springs inside my forks. Me and my girlfriend ride on my 360 a lot, so it gives it a little bit better ride for both of us. I've also upgraded my headlight bucket. I have an LED bulb in there just because it's a lot safer. And I picked up this headlight bucket because I thought it looks cool with the mesh built in it off of eBay at some point. As far as the mechanical stuff, I've rebuilt almost everything on this bike, some things multiple times because I've been learning as I go along. Mainly the engine. I'm rebuilt that thing 3 times. Most recently is because I jetted my carbs too lean and blew a hole through the piston on the way to Harvest Classic. Now, this was my first motorcycle. There's a lot of things I would do differently that I am doing differently on my 450 in our Fixin' to Ride series. First off, I would never cut all the connectors out of the bike anymore. That was stupid. Also, I did a lot of customizations going to, like, I've welded a rear hoop on here. I've also painted the tank, I've replaced the seat, changed out the headlight bucket, changed out the gauges, I changed out the switches, and a lot of the stuff just was a really big rabbit hole. When I changed out a lot of the wiring, it makes you need to change out other things that adapt, and I've learned that if you like the original stock stuff, you should keep it because it works really well with the bikes, especially as a beginner working on a motorcycle. So on the 450, it's going to be a lot more stock with a few different changes here and there, like maybe some new turn signals. People don't realize the stock Honda stuff works really well and is actually quite minimal, and every third-party item you get requires a lot of modification. So lastly on my bike, my future plans. I need to replace the steering bearing, like I said, and the swing arm bushings. Also, I'm making a front fender, and that's really it on this motorcycle. I don't think I'm going to change anything else in the long run. I'm really happy with how far it's come. I'll throw up some photos of the bike when I first got it, the bike after I tried to redo it for the first time, and then where it's at now. And it looks a lot better. It's come a long way, and I've learned so much. And I'm finally really happy with it. I also want to take this bike on the Vintage 1000, so hopefully you'll see me riding the Vintage 1000 on this bad boy at some point in the next year or two after all this Corona stuff is over. So that has really been it. This is Caleb here with Common Motor once again. Don't forget to like and follow us on Facebook and Instagram, subscribe to our newsletter, and subscribe to this YouTube channel right here down below. See you next time.